Hello, Sanford. You are listening to Sanford Sports. Well, actually, you are tuned in to the Coyotes Football Network. As the Sanford College Coyotes are now on your TV screen, we'll be here every weekend for you to watch every Sanford College football game and every week for your edition of the Howler. Now, you'll be seeing a ton of stuff on your screen now talking about recruits and all other type of things, as well as some footage from this week's practice. But before we really get going, let's talk about some of the recruits. There's not a lot of big things to talk about. I will say, though, one of the big names, of course, Adam Woods, the outside linebacker, has seemed to make his presence known that he wants to come to Sanford. The young man is from Vermont, not far from Sanford, really. If you were to look at a state map, Sanford, I would argue, next to UConn would be the closest if he wants to stay close to home. But as one of the top prospects in the nation, it's very surprising to see him want to come to Sanford that badly, especially at outside linebacker, a position that right now seems full with Dylan Trevor and James Bryant. But in a year or two, Woods could be a dominant player on this team. It's going to be fun if they can get him in here. That would be absolutely phenomenal. Now, Larry Scales and Sean Williams, the guard prospects that were added to the board last week from Coach Wolf, they have not made much of a move with Sanford. We'll see how that goes as the weeks go on. Players of the week this week, you've got both Temple players, quarterback Ryan Thompson of Temple and free safety Matt Richwalski. Both had big days against some FCS competition, but that's not going to help you in the American League standings. I'm sorry, the American Conference standings, as Sanford is number one with 2 wins on their record. They've got a tough game this week against the Oklahoma State Cowboys. We'll talk a little bit more about that as the show goes on. But this Sanford team is looked sharp in a way that you would at least assume with this team. Claude Fleming has looked good through the first 2 games. He hasn't really broken out the way we've wanted to see, but he's really become even bigger of a presence on this offense now in the passing game as well. So things are looking very up for this Sanford offense. The defense, though, is going to be a question mark. Big Joe's gotten some pressure, but he's not getting the sacks you want out of him. There's so many questions right now on that defense that have to be answered. Hopefully, they'll answer in arguably the biggest game so far this season in Oklahoma State. But we'll see, as that is a road game for those wondering, as Sanford was once again getting votes in the top 25. Not in there just yet, but a big win over Oklahoma State would definitely put them well into the top 25, as there's some interesting games on the American Conference schedule here. UConn faces UVA, which ought to be a fun one. Nate Walker, of course, the quarterback for Virginia, was recruited from Sanford with Tanner Patrick, decided to go to UVA, and it's been a good choice for him. We've got some other games as UCF faces Texas in a tough matchup. Michigan State heads to the University of Southern Florida, which should be a very interesting ballgame. The Bulls have a big test there in front of them. And, of course, Tennessee heads to Memphis. I feel bad for those Tigers. No offense to you Tiger fans, but Tennessee, of course, former national champions, going to bring some power to that game. Now let's talk about Sanford's game, as Kirk Herbstreit not favoring the Coyotes this week. He is going with the number 9 ranked Oklahoma State Cowboys, and you can't argue with them. They're ranked number 9 in the nation. It's going to be hard to argue with that, plain and simple. And this is a Sanford team that we haven't seen take on this type of competition a lot. We've seen them face Big Ten play, and of course, some other conferences every so often. We haven't seen them constantly face this type of just competition, top 10 team competition. They're going to be doing it twice here, as you folks should see the schedule on your television screens. Oklahoma State this week, then they head back home to face Penn State in what's going to be another tough matchup. This is the test, I think, on the year for Sanford. These 2 games. And they're even bigger, I think, for Tanner Patrick to prove that he can really bring the fight this season for this team. Now, the question, I think, on everybody's mind is how well is that defense going to play against the Oklahoma State Cowboys, and how well can Tanner Patrick do against a defense that is going to be extremely tough. He currently stands at 3-3 touchdown to interception ratio. So he hasn't done terrible. We've got to hope, though, that stays tied or that touchdowns are over the interceptions. He has played well this season. Compared to what we've seen before, he has played well this season. And we'll talk a little more about Tanner Patrick here as time goes on. Let's talk about some Cowboys, though. Carl Kramer, the halfback out of Oklahoma State, arguably the biggest weapon. We're not going to talk about their quarterback this week. I do not see him as the biggest threat on this team. I see it as Kramer, who's really been the workhorse. And I'm expecting to see him really get a load of the carries and some passes going his way. If they decide to throw the football a lot, Tyrell Alexander, though, will be a big target. Dustin Jordan is going to have his hands full. Alexander only stands 6'1", 177, but he's a tough receiver. 9 touchdowns 2 years ago. Last season. 9 touchdowns. That's a great stat line. The issue is, how well can Alexander beat a guy like Jordan? Jordan had 6 interceptions last season. That's huge. If he can get 6 again and start it this week, even bigger. A top 10 team, and he gets his first pick of the year. Think about it. That's a great way to get your first interception. This team has no picks currently on the year. They could use that momentum with some interceptions. Now, on the defensive side for the Cowboys, they do have Scott Bryant, the defensive end. He hasn't been a big threat yet this year. No sacks, no deflections. He's only got 3 tackles and only 1 for a loss. So, there's not a lot there right now for Scott Bryant. But I personally think he's a deadly player. There's TJ Leslie on the other end. We're not going to talk much about him. But he can also be a powerhouse. Now, in the middle of those two is Dedrick Johnson. Now, he hasn't had a huge season either, but he does have 2 pass deflections from his DT spot. And you think about that, that means the big man goes up and bats those balls away. Patrick's not the tallest guy. He stands at 5'11". Most people are going to look at that and go, yeah, he's not tall enough to play the position of quarterback. Passes could get knocked down this week, so keep that in mind. Calvin Burbridge, another guy to keep in mind. This linebacking core is very good for the Cowboys. The left outside linebacker, Calvin Bundage. He's got half a sack last season, no sacks this year, but he does have 2 pass deflections. Are you seeing a recurring theme here, folks? It seems like this defense is pretty good at knocking that football away. Now let's talk about a name that might sound pretty familiar. Bryson Mitchell. If you're wondering why that name might sound familiar, well, he was a big, heavily recruited middle linebacker here for Sanford. He went to WVU, then transferred for playing time, and now he's here and had a great season last year. Had a defensive touchdown, 2 interceptions. He had a phenomenal year. And in my opinion, he's the scariest guy in that linebacking core. We'll see how well Mitchell plays this week against Sanford. And finally, let's talk about one player in the secondary for the Cowboys, Madre Harper. Now, he hasn't had a big year either. He's got only 1 deflection, no tackles. It's really been lackluster to start the season. But he is a guy you cannot just sit there and not pay attention to. He's going to be on your number 1 all day long. Now, let me bring up the players that I think could have a big impact this week. And first and foremost, it's Tanner Patrick. It's got to be Tanner Patrick. He's looked sharp this year for the most part. He has played well, and with him comes Josh Williams. If those 2 play well, It's a beautiful connection. If Williams hadn't gotten in trouble last year, think of how well his season would have gone. He was suspended for 4 games because of an off-the-field incident. He had 5 touchdowns in 10 games. Think about what could have happened if he had had those 4 back. That's the connection on offense. On the defensive side of the field, you got Shea Faraday, who's having a great start to his first year as a Coyote. 2 sacks already. This kid's becoming the sack machine here. If he can pull off even just 1 this week, that's 1 sack a year, or 1 sack a game. That's 14 sacks a season. That's a school record. I mean, this kid's been playing well. And, of course, we talked about Alexander, the receiver for the Cowboys. Well, Dustin Jordan, going to be on him all day. And we're going to keep our eyes on Jordan. We talked about 6 interceptions last year. We're going to keep our eyes on Dustin Jordan all day long. It doesn't matter. Gibson's going to be on the other side taking care of the other receiver. But Jordan's the guy to kind of lay down the law against number ones. That's just how it's going to go. But while you folks watch some footage of what went on during practice earlier this week, they did get some of the second stringers, and you'll probably see that later on in the footage. But what this team has to focus on this year is they can't think about all the players that are leaving, because there's a ton of seniors we talked about before. Fleming, Patrick, Irvin, Hollis, Gibson. There's so many seniors on this team, Thomas. But all they need to focus on is one thing and one thing only, and that's trying to put together the best record they can. And I think when it comes down to rivalry week with UConn, I think Sanford's sole focus is going to be UConn. This team has looked very good having to come back. And that's something I didn't expect we'd have to see this year. I thought this team would be sharp from the get-go. They wouldn't be making very many mistakes. They made their mistakes, but they came back from it. We take you all the way back to week 1 with Boston College. They came back to win that game. A huge comeback against Mark Riley now at Boston College, but it's just different. It feels different here in Sanford. It feels like this team has a big belief that they can put maybe even a national championship team together for the seniors. I'm not saying they're going to the national championship. I'm not saying that a national championship should be the goal this year, because it should always be the goal every year you're playing. But it just feels like this team believes that a national title could be in grabs. Now, they had a tough test against Oregon last year, so national title hopes, from my viewpoint, not very high. But I think if they play as well as they did last season, only coming away with 1 to 2 losses, this team shouldn't be out of the running of another BCS bowl game. You shouldn't take them out of the top 25. It should be a team that really, when you look at them on paper, on the offensive side, should be feared, and even, at least on parts of the defensive side, you should be scared of these guys. That's just how it's going to go. A lot of these guys just need to get the respect they haven't gotten. I think Tanner Patrick's going to earn that, not only this week, but on the rest of the season. If he has the season I believe he can have, he's going to leave Sanford maybe a top prospect in the draft. Maybe. Those interceptions are going to be the question. You can't turn that ball over. But this team, and I'll say it again, really has felt different this year. And you can just see it from who's playing. You got Patrick Jackson in the slot now with Tremaine Dingle having graduated. You have Rob Thomas and Josh Williams really filling out the outside roles. You're going to have Adam Gillette more than likely next year, the freshman. You're more than likely going to have him filling out an outside role after Rob Thomas leaves. So there's a lot of questions still here with this team when it comes to next season because of all the seniors. However, this year, I think all these seniors have pumped up these young guys from freshman to sophomore to the juniors and have got them thinking that this team is better than even you could see on paper. At least from what I know of Big Joe, from what he's been telling me, he's ecstatic to get going with these toughest games of the season. Some would call them the Oklahoma State and Penn State games. He's ready to get going with these, and he wants to show the world that this team is better than what they were last year. As I just saw some footage there. Great throw by John Scott to Adam Gillette. But this is exactly what this team needs. They need a good start. And if they can keep it going, if they can play well when it comes to conference play, and the American Conference now in their first year, I think eyes are going to be on Sanford a lot more than they were last year. And that, I think, is a very key component to this team really playing their best football. And from the footage you folks saw there of the second string, I think the future may just be very, very bright at quarterback. John Scott making some nice throws in his time in practice. But that's all the time we've got for this first edition of the Howler here on the Coyotes Football Network. We'll be back with more next week, and we will see you folks this weekend for some Coyote football. Hello, Sanford. You are watching the Coyotes Football Network, and we are here in Oklahoma at Boone Pickens Stadium as the Oklahoma State Cowboys host the Sanford College Coyotes. I am your man on the call, Jonathan West, as always, and for you folks tuning in for the first time here on the Coyote Football Network, well, it's going to be fun with the first live game for you folks. It's going to be a tough one, too. We're starting off the first game on the CFN, and it's number 9 in the nation at Oklahoma State. And then next week, you folks are going to see Penn State, number 10 currently in the nation, going to Sanford. It's going to be a fun situation here on the network, but that's not what we're talking about. We're here to talk football and everything about the Oklahoma State versus Sanford game, and it's going to be an interesting one to say the least. These two teams, I think, match up pretty interestingly against each other, and we're going to see exactly how well that Sanford offense does against some tough defensive competition as we are underway. Jackson Stone boots it, and all the way through the back of the end zone. That's not getting caught at all. As it's 1st and 10 out of pistol for Oklahoma State. That is Carl Kramer in the Howler. I called him arguably the toughest player on this offense, and we'll see if the offense flows through him or not. He gained 6 on that first carry, as now he's the man in motion. They're going low, no huddle here to begin, as Harris gets a 5-yard reception out of that 5-wide set. It's 1st and 10 as the no huddle continues here. And Woodty, the quarterback, connects with Joseph. That's going to be enough for the first down. Gain of 14 on that one. Marcus Joseph with the reception. His defense getting carved up quick. 1st and 10, still in the shotgun with this no-huddle offense. And Woodty over the middle. That's King. And another first down. Gibson just couldn't keep up with them. This is tough to watch. I expect this defense to play fairly well against these receivers. It's not working. As there's the pressure, though, that's Big Joe, but I think he got a hold of the face mask. And indeed he did. That'll be a 15-yard penalty, and oh, the pain there. That would have been a huge sack for Big Joe, but that is a 15-yard penalty in great field position here for Oklahoma State as they are getting up towards the red zone. That's a 5-yard gain now by Carl Kramer. This is just not what you want to see. 2nd and 5, here as out of the shotgun, Woodty. He connects with Joseph, but off his hands. That's going to fall incomplete. It's 3rd and 5 now. It is exactly what you want on the defensive side of things. 3rd and 5. Sending a little more pressure. Woodty on the run, though, and that's a first down and more for Oklahoma State. That is a big first down for the Cowboys. They're inside the red zone now deep, and that is going to be tough for this defense. However, we got to jump. That is a false start on the Cowboys. Move them back 5 yards. Well, that makes me extremely happy right there. First and 15 now, a little tough for the Cowpokes as Woodty just tosses it out of bounds. A little surprising there. You would think maybe he'd take off or hold on to it for a bit longer, but he just throws it away. Second and 15 now is Joseph the man in motion. They'll go jet sweep, and Joseph's got room. He's going to gain some. That's a gain of 5. Down to around the 11-yard line. Third and 10, 5 wide set here. Joseph once again the man in motion. As Woodty takes the snap. A screen set up for Joseph. They're not taking it. Finally go to it. And it's too late because Sam Williams shuts it down. Only a gain of 1, and they'll have to settle for a field goal. Good defensive stop from Sanford to begin things as the kick is up. And it will bounce off the upright and in. So they got lucky to get that field goal. We'll take you to a quick update, though, as Auburn has defeated Mississippi State 28-21, number 23 over number 25. So for you SEC fans, Auburn currently on top there at 2-0. And a big one here, Texas Tech upsetting number 24 in the nation, North Carolina, 35-30. Texas Tech is 2-0 to start this year. We're back here at Sanford now as the handoff for Sanford goes straight to Claude Fleming, and we're expecting a big day from Claude here. Fleming has been a big contributor all year, whether it's run or pass. He has just done what he's needed to do. It's been a great start to his year. The handoff once again goes to Fleming, and he's tripped up. That's Bryson Mitchell. Oh, that's disappointing because he had a lot of green in front of him and good blocks. Third and 4, Patrick to throw. Checks it down to Newman in the flats, and that's going to be enough for the first 6-yard gain for tight end Lorenzo Newman, who's quietly, I think, been having one of the better years of any receiver. First and 10 up the middle goes Fleming. That's going to be the gain we want to see. A gain of 9 on that one. Fleming going to be going up the gut, I think, a lot today. Second and 1 in the shotgun. Patrick hands off, and they'll go draw. We don't often see that. And that's going to be a 4-yard gain and a first down for Claude Fleming. They're around midfield, and they're keeping control of this football. It's Patrick to throw. And right as I say that, it's intercepted. Of course it is. I think I just jinxed that one. Gross with the pick. And down at around the 49-yard line. Victor Gross takes this one away. And I will say Tanner Patrick throws it a little too inside here. He should have thrown it a little more to the outside for Williams. But nonetheless, Gross comes up with it. And that's going to be the first mistake of the day for Sanford. As Carl Kramer with a good run to start things for Oklahoma State. 10-yard rush. Nearly enough for the first, but they won't give it to him. Second and inches as now Woodty hands off at a shotgun. That's Kramer for the first. Gain of 4 on that carry. They'll continue their no-huddle offense here as it's first and 10. Woodty, quick throw to Harrison. He is hit hard. Sam Williams, that young man is making a name for himself. Not only as a return man, but as a corner with those big hits. Second and 8. Still in this no-huddle offense, Woodty connects with Joseph, and that's enough for the first. Brought down. That was a combination of Moore and Williams. As first and 10 now, no huddle continues for Oklahoma State. Play comes in from the sideline. Woodty takes the snap, throws it, and that one should have been taken away, but Clemens fighting with his own teammate for the pick. You can't do that, boys. Second and 10 is Woodty. Looks to run. He's bottled up. Down he goes. Justin Moss on the sack. That's what we wanted to see. Justin Moss on the sack. Beautiful. As he just came in there, Kellen Herron, the other D tackle that was in, to help out. Third and 12. Kramer gets the handoff in the draw, and he's brought down quick. That's Scott Boyd, the young man who had a great year last year here for Sanford. Fourth and 8. As another field goal set up, kick is up. This one is as easy as it gets for Oklahoma State. The Cowboys are on top now 6-0. We'll take you to some more updates. The UConn-Virginia game very close here. 21-14 UVA on top of UConn. Welcome back to Sanford, folks, as the handoff goes to Fleming right up the gut and right by Bryson Mitchell. That was great running by Fleming, an 11-yard gain and a first down. As 1st and 10. They'll go play action now. Patrick checks down to Gutierrez, the freshman fullback, and he'll have a gain of 7. It seems the coaching staff has really taken a liking to Gutierrez as of late. So I'm wondering if he'll see any more looks his way as the pitch here on 2nd down doesn't work out. A loss of 3. They'll give the tackle to Jonathan Powell, the linebacker, but not great there, as that will take us to the end of the first quarter. 6-0, Oklahoma State on top so far of Sanford. We'll see you folks back with more here on the Coyotes Football Network. Welcome back, everyone, to the Coyote Football Network. Sanford currently down 6-0 here at the start of the second. What a spin by Fleming, making that man look silly as he tries to tackle him early. It's a 9-yard gain. Great play, Claude Fleming, on that reception. As 1st and 10 handoff goes to Joe Baker. He had his first touchdown of his career last year, gained 6 on his first rush of the day. But a nice start there for Baker. Like seeing that, as we see Tyrese Baker now in the Wildcat at quarterback, and that's Charles Gutierrez. 9-yard reception and enough for the first. The Wildcat formation has worked out for Sanford as they go back to Fleming now on the ground. He runs over one defender, and that's going to be an 8-yard gain. Man, Fleming not playing soft here today. He just ran over one Cowboy. 2nd and 2, they go option, and Patrick's got room. He runs over a guy. That's 14 yards. Look at Patrick. He's not playing games either. 1st and 10, out of the shotgun, play action, and Patrick just runs out of time. It's a sack, T.J. Leslie. That is a loss of 8 off the play action. He had time, but just no one got open when he needed him to. That offensive line we talked about before, it's going to be a struggle because of no depth really there. We'll see if they can get anything going this year as Patrick throwing once again finds Fleming, and he'll just go straight through the Cowboys. 15-yard gain, and really I think he could have been stopped maybe 2 or 3 yards back from where he landed. But he runs right through a couple of Cowboys. 3rd and 3, full house formation here. Patrick looking to throw. Into the end zone, that's Williams. Touchdown, Sanford. The Coyotes score, and it's tied, pending the extra point to take the lead. That's a great play there. A simple slant pattern, and right by Bryson Mitchell. Great play there by Sanford. We've got another update for you. UVA still on top, but it is even closer. Connecticut within 4, 24-28. Welcome back, everyone, to Sanford here as Oklahoma State has the football, and Woodtree tries to run away. He gets slowed down and taken down. Joe Irvin. They're actually calling that sack number 2, I'm being told, as the face mask will go down, though, as a sack, according to the stat sheet. That's from what I've been told. I did not realize that, but apparently it will, so that's sack number 2 on the day. 2nd and 14, Kramer on the run, and he's going to get all and more of that lost yardage back. 13-yard gain as that makes it a manageable 3rd and 1. The no-huddle continues here for Oklahoma State as 1T hands off to Kramer, but he's stopped. Matthew Fowler, the young middle linebacker. We've been waiting for him to take over this defense, and a play like that is how you do it. 1st and 10 now for Sanford as they start out of their pistol, and Fleming on the run. He's not going to find a lot, but he does find 4. It's going to be a decent start to this drive. 2nd and 6 in the full house formation here. And they're going to go the handoff to Baker, and he took a shot. Believe that was Bryson Mitchell again. What a hit. 3rd and 4, Patrick dropping back. And into a tight window for Lorenzo Newman. What a throw. 11-yard connection and a first down. 1st and 10 with under 2 minutes left to go in the half. Patrick runs out of time as the ball luckily comes out of his hands and falls incomplete. But that was a sandwich there. 2nd and 10, pitch goes out to Fleming, and he can't find room. That's TJ Leslie. As this defensive line has been a problem. They have played very quick here against a guy like Fleming. I'm surprised. As 3rd down here, it's deflected by Bryson Mitchell. I've said his name a lot today, and that's because he's a big playmaker on that defense. And he showed it right there with that deflection. There's a minute left to go here in the half. Oklahoma State with the football. Waddy hands off to Kramer for the draw. Kramer can't find much. That's only going to be a gain of 3. Clock continues to tick as the no huddle begins again here for Oklahoma State. Waddy looking to throw. He can't hook up with Joseph. That's going to fall incomplete and stop the clock. Well then, folks, here we go. 39 seconds left. What do you do if you're Oklahoma State? Waddy hands off to Kramer, and they'll just run it. He won't get the first, and that, folks, I think will take us to the half. I don't see Sanford trying to score here, and it will, as that is halftime, 7-6. Sanford currently upsetting the number 9 team in the nation. We'll be back with more here on the Coyotes Football Network. Welcome back, everyone, to the Coyote Football Network. I am Jonathan West. The second half just getting underway. As what a tackle by Bryson Mitchell to start things. Catching Fleming as he was going upfield. That's only going to be a gain of 3 because of it. 2nd and 7. Patrick looks to throw, and he nearly throws another pick. That should have probably been intercepted. He's lucky it wasn't. 3rd and 7. Patrick setting up the screen. That's for Fleming. He's got room, powers through. That's enough for the first. Gain of 8. A lot of power being shown by Fleming today. 1st and 10 in the offset eye. Tanner Patrick hands off to Fleming. That's a 4-yard gain by Fleming. He's got 46 on 11. That's 4.2 per rush. A good stat line right now, if you ask me. As Patrick can't find any room on the option there. That's going to force it to 3rd and 6. They need a good play here. They need something that's going to work out. It's 3rd and 6. Patrick drops back and quickly hits Rob Thomas. 23 yards downfield. The first catch of the day for Rob Thomas. Senior to senior connection. And it works out. A big catch there. They're into Cowboy territory. And Fleming's got room. Nice blocks by Gutierrez and company. An 11-yard run because of it. And that's another first down for Sanford. They're driving here. As the pitch goes to Baker. He's got blocks. And he gains 5. Not a lot, but he at least got half of it. Some nice blocks were made there for Baker to really find some room. 2nd and 5, Patrick looks to throw, connects with Nick Brown, the young tight end. The freshman gets 5 yards and just short of the first down. They want to get Brown incorporated in this offense, that's for certain. Handoff goes to Gutierrez on 3rd and inches, and that is a first down as the fullback gains 3. This team likes to use their fullback, and Gutierrez gets more than enough for the first there. 1st and 10, play action here by Patrick to the end zone. Lorenzo Newman, touchdown! 16-yard touchdown strike from Patrick to Newman. A phenomenal play there. He put that right where Newman was the only guy who could get it. It was either Lorenzo Newman or incomplete. Great play by Patrick. First and 10, Woodty connects with Kramer on the check down, and he gets pulled down. That's a combination of Fowler and Williams there. A gain of 9 on that catch. The no-huddle continues, and Kramer goes right up the gut. It's a 6-yard run, enough for the first down. Just about 3 minutes to go here in the third. First and 10 as the no-huddle continues. Woodty takes the snap out of shotgun, and he somehow gets out of trouble. That should have been a sack, but he somehow fights his way to the line of scrimmage, brought down by Matthew Fowler. Second and 10. Kramer, the man in motion, becomes 5 wide set as Woodty looks to run again. But this time, Big Joe, or no, Daniel Clemens gets him. I thought it was Joe that had a hold on, but no, it's the safety, Daniel Clemens. He brings him down, and that's going to be another sack on the day. Third and 17. Man in motion. Change here by Woodty as he takes the snap over the middle, and Joseph can't pull it in. That's going to fall incomplete, and that will force a Cowboy punt. First and 10 here for Sanford as Fleming gets the handoff again, a gain of 3. They have kept this ball out of the hands of that Cowboy offense, and it has worked. Second and 7, and there's the power on display again, but Fleming can't find much room as the second tackler came in, only a gain of 1. Third and 6, Patrick looks to throw, connects with Fleming, a big hit there, but big first down for the Coyotes. First and 10, handoff goes to Baker. Joe Baker only confined 2 as he's caught quickly. This offense, though, has worked very well together as that takes us to the end of the third quarter. 14-6, Sanford thoroughly on top of Oklahoma State, even though it's only one score. We'll be back with the final quarter of play here on the Coyotes Football Network. Welcome back, everyone, to the Coyote Football Network. And it is the final quarter of play here as it starts with a Fleming handoff, and he's gone right up the gut for a big gain. 12-yard run and another big game by Fleming today. First and 10 is Patrick to throw over the middle. That's Baker. First down, Joe Baker, as that's an 11-yard reception. First and 10. Patrick going to throw again, surprisingly, and into the hands of Bryson Mitchell. He's a linebacker that I think can play like a safety. He has played extremely well throughout his time, that last year at least, with Oklahoma State, at getting interceptions. Remember, he had 2 on the year. For a linebacker, that's a great stat line. He picks up 1 right there. Absolutely insane. As Woodty on the run, though, and that is Big Joe bringing him down. Vengeance is served sweet there, as that's sack number 3 on the stat sheet today by Big Joe. He's got 31 total sacks in his career here at Sanford. That is a school record. Second and 17 here now for the Cowboys. As Woodty hands off to Kramer, and he's going to get that yardage and more back. A gain of 9 on that run. As the no-huddle continues here. Third and 8. Woodty looking to move. He throws, and that is incomplete. Fourth down coming up. They got to punt it. As they're going to boot it away here to Steven Supersonic Sullivan. The young freshman finds some room. He's got another good return in him up past the 50. An 18-yard return down to around the 47. A good return for Sullivan as Sanford has great field position. Fleming somehow keeps his balance long enough to gain 2 yards there. 75 total yards on the ground and 40 through the air. He's had another great day. Patrick connects with Thomas, but he can't hold on. Come on, Rob. Third and 8 here, and they're going to go to Fleming. And Fleming nearly got it. He was so close. A 7-yard run. And look at this, the offense still out there, 4th and 1. They'll go option. Patrick gets hit right before the marker. That'll be a turnover on downs, and that means it's Oklahoma State football. This game ain't over, folks. 1T to throw, but a big hit by Joe. What a hit, as he has just tied his own record for sacks in a game at 4. Big Joe forcing himself onto Oklahoma State today. 1T connects with Tyrell Alexander. First time we're saying that today. That's an 8-yard gain. 3rd and 5 now. They need this first down here. As 1T takes the snap, he looks to throw. He connects with Alexander. That was good coverage by Dustin Jordan. He was on him, but just a better throw and catch by Alexander and 1T. 1st and 10, man in motion. As 1T throws, and it's batted up and almost taken away. Joe Irvin was there. He wanted it. 2nd and 10 coming up now. As out of the pistol, 1T to throw, and that one goes immediately out of bounds. I don't know what 1T saw and what he was scared of, but that one flew way out of bounds there. 1T now moving in the pocket, throwing deep to the end zone, and it's overthrown, incomplete. Gibson was in coverage, but it would have been tough to stop that one. As the punt now goes back to Sanford, and they're set up in the shotgun here. Taking time. Setting up the screen for Joe Baker. He's got room to run, and that's going to be an 8-yard gain. Big hit, though, late on Joe. 2nd and 2. Handoff goes to Baker, and Baker is stuffed. No gain there as he gets back to the line. TJ Leslie has had a nice game. 3rd and 2 here. Handoff to Fleming. First down and plenty more is Fleming with a 16-yard run. Best of the day. 1st and 10 here now. As Sanford just going to let time go. They are in their pistol, which normally means an option. And indeed it will be. Patrick on the run. That's going to be a gain of 8. As now the Cowboys start to call their timeouts. 2nd and 2 in the full house formation here. Handoff goes to Gutierrez, and that's going to be a first down for the fullback. Gain of 4. Sanford now back in their pistol on first down. Patrick looking to throw here. He checks down to Gutierrez as he steps out of bounds. And a timeout taken nonetheless by Oklahoma State. I'm surprised at that. 2nd and 9. Pistol formation, and the option doesn't work out as down goes Patrick. Jonathan Powell on top of it. 3rd and 10 now. Patrick connects with Williams, and that's just short of the marker. A first down would have put this game away. Just short. But the offense is still out there. 4th and 1. Handoff Gutierrez, and the fullback gets it. Game over. Sanford wins this one. Gutierrez, the man who put it away with that first down. But your player of the game, obviously, Big Joe Irvin. 4 sacks on the day. One, of course, led to a 15-yard penalty. Not something you want to see. But 3 of those just devastating to the Cowboys. It was a defensive game. 14-6 your final once again here from Oklahoma State. But you got to give it to Patrick. He never stuttered. Not after throwing 1 pick, not after throwing 2. He kept going. They relied on their ground game heavily today. And I think personally that's what opened up a little bit of that passing game. Fleming, another great game. 98 yards on the ground, 40 through the air, 130 from scrimmage. Absolutely amazing day by this Sanford offense. Hopefully they can make that happen again next week when they head back home take on Penn State. I've been Jonathan West. You've been watching the Coyotes Football Network, and we will see you next week for more Sanford College football.